What is going on, FCS Fans Nation? I'm your host of the FCS Friday Night Pregame, Chris. Um, right now it's just me. We'll see. We might get a Brandon Owen sighting, possibly a Kyler Neal sighting tonight. And then maybe we'll try the sidelines thing again with Matt if he can get to a quiet place. If not, this might be a short one because it's just me. It's the holidays. People are out, holiday parties, etc., etc., etc. But as always, we have tons of shows throughout the week that you guys can watch here on the FCS Fans Nation Network, and we appreciate the hell out of it that you choose to bookend it with us. One, we're your only option, but two, we think we do it an all right job. So we're going to talk a little NDSU, a little James Madison tonight. Then we're also going to break down tomorrow's matchup at noon my time, which is Mountain Time. So adjust that to your appropriate clocks for South Dakota State and the Montana State Bobcats in Bozeman, Montana. But we got to go. It's semifinals weekend. There are 4 teams left, ladies and gentlemen. That means as of tomorrow, in less than 24 hours, our Frisco matchup is set. Frisco is set. Tickets are either going to go up in price or down in price. Probably neither, because one of the 2 teams that are currently playing behind me after this commercial are going to make it, and their fan bases that travel extremely well. But so does South Dakota State and Montana State. It's going to be a great Frisco, and enjoy the final hours of what we got going on here before it. So I got one question that came in via Twitter. So we'll get to that one when it comes up, but we're going to kind of talk about the game that's going on right now here. And then we'll kind of talk about tomorrow's game. It's an opportunity for you guys that are watching and everything live. Use the comment section on YouTube to be able, or Facebook or Twitter, to be able to kind of interact with the show and have your questions featured. And have me and hopefully, like I said, Brandon Owens or Kyler Neal join me. If not, well, it's not my first time having to filibuster a show. So we'll see what we can do here. All right, so North Dakota State versus James Madison. 2 of the biggest matchups. You heard it here last week with Matthew Frazee. We were talking about it. It didn't happen. If Sam Houston won, we would have had the rematch 2020 and the rematch of 2019 in the 2 semifinal games. It brings us to the point we always talk about, like, you're playing the FCS because you have a chance to win a title. Montana State is the outsider looking in here. You know, like everybody else has been to Frisco before. And two of these teams have been there recently against each other, and one of them's not going to make it. After today, one of them will no longer be in the playoff race. My kind of takes on this initial game. All right. It's still within striking distance. If you're James Madison, you can't give up. I've been following the Duke's Twitter today. Like, not today, but, well, today and since the game is kicked off. You're losing some fans. Like, there's some faith getting sucked out. I will say this feels almost, they of all people should be aware of this. This feels a lot like Sam Houston State last year. No question in my mind, James Madison has the better offense, or at least the most mature, more likely to be able to make big plays offense. Oh, boy. Lawrence Smith, how the hell are you?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, because I did not want to have to filibuster this whole episode. We're talking James Madison, North Dakota State. You're a JMU fan, from birth. Maybe a little bit of an Eastern fan now. What are your takeaways here from this first bit of the game?
JMU came out super slow. I think that's obvious to anyone that's watching the game. Luckily, for most people watching the game, you couldn't see JMU come out slow because we had to watch the end of that Coastal game. Real nice of our future conference mates to run over their time slot like that. But, it so far, unfortunately, it looks like the same old story from the last 2 times these 2 teams have met. NDSU comes in. They're doing what they do. JMU trying to get cute. And maybe coaching themselves out of the game in the first half. But, good news for JMU fans. It could easily be 13-7 right now. One bad read from Cole Johnson. 3rd interception of the year. Like I was saying in our group chat, who knows how a touchdown there could have changed momentum. It could be 10-7 right now. So a lot to play for in the second half. I hope at least that Cignetti's gonna get the guys, get in their ears, let them know, it's 13 points. We've come back from more than 13 in the past. But this is a tough place to do it.
Yeah. So I want your take on this. Like, I got to see James Madison live this year against Weber State, who, yeah, some people are going to hate on this. State has a damn good defense. I think James Madison has the offense that they can easily come back in the second half. This does not feel like last week, James Madison versus Montana, where at halftime this game was over. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was. The second half proved to be true. James Madison can overcome this discount or this deficit, and we could have very much Sam Houston's like what Sam Houston State did to James Madison last year in this second half. Am I off base by thinking that?
I think that is certainly possible. The odds are definitely in NDSU's favor right now. If they keep executing the way they have been, getting some pressure on Cole. He wasn't sacked a lot, but there were a couple times. Their secondary is playing lights out right now. JMU's not getting any yards after the catch. That runs is being bottled up. You're right that JMU has the potential, but NDSU also has that potential to go in and stop it. They're playing their game right now and they're executing.
Yeah.
But like I said, this game's not over.
I will say that's the downside. Is NDSU looks to be clicking on all cylinders. Where the James Madison Sam Houston game in the spring did seem like James Madison might have been shooting themselves Sam Houston might have been shooting themselves in the foot more than really dominating. This game does feel like NDSU is kind of going about their business. But as we touched on, as far as going about their business, they didn't amass an unsurmountable lead. So if I'm a Dukes fan, and I picked the Dukes to win this game, so this is a little shocking for me. I'm pulling for the Bison because I want the title to stay in the FCS. But I think James Madison can win this game. I don't know what it is, but I just think I won't be shocked if the Dukes come back. I'll put it that way.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think the biggest thing, if NDSU keeps taking 6 minutes off the clock on their drives, JMU's just going to run out of time. They're not going to come out and score on every drive in the second half. You got to take your points where you can get them. But if NDSU does what NDSU does and just runs the seconds off the clock, JMU's not just playing against the Bison right now. They're playing against the Bison. They're playing against the clock. They're playing against the crowd.
True.
It'll certainly be one to write home about if JMU comes back and pulls this one off. I'm rooting for my guys. I agree. I think it's possible. Probable. Who knows at this point? We'll just have to watch.
Yep. We're also being joined now by Brandon Owens of Cocky Nation. Brandon, how are you? And what are your thoughts here on the first half of NDSU James Madison?
It's not good for JMU. Yeah, I've been working my tail off since the end of the semester, so I've been needing this.
Yeah. But I mean, all right, so Lawrence and I were talking about it. You got to give me more than not looking good. There's hope here, though, right? Like, James Madison hasn't been – the score line is not unsurmountable.
No, the biggest thing is they can't stop Lepke. They cannot stop Lepke. If they stop Lepke in the second half and Cole Johnson starts playing smart football, then JMU will have a chance. Yeah. Because there was and Lawrence, I'm pretty sure you're watching the game. But there was should have been touchdown pass that ended up being an interception. There was the whole right side of the field was wide open. There was a receiver in the right side of the field, and Cole Johnson threw into double coverage, and it got intercepted.
Yeah. I agree. Like, unlike last year, I made a very confident prediction at the halftime of Sam Houston and James Madison where I said I thought they would at least tie it back up. I didn't think Sam Houston would go on the win, but I thought, like, this second half is going to be different. I do feel like this game feels a little different because, like I said, it was more Sam Houston shooting themselves in the foot. But I just think James Madison is too talented. I agree that on the lines right now seems to be the biggest difference, both offensive and defensive lines. I think NDSU is being able to give Johnson more pressure than he probably has seen from them before. And I think, defensively, NDSU's been able to do what they want. And they're doing it different than normal where they're usually a pretty big run-first team. Right now, NDSU having a surprising air attack, like not necessarily what you expect to see from the Bison, which maybe if you're a James Madison fan, that's that target you go in at halftime and go, look, we came in here and game planned for NDSU to run the ball down our throats. And have they been able to do it pretty effectively still? Yes. But North Dakota State almost seems hell-bent on being able to prove they have a passing attack and can win a game untraditionally today. James Madison can take advantage of that.
If Quincy doesn't drop that touchdown, this thing looks a lot different. I'm a lot less confident in JMU coming back.
Yeah,
not to say that I'm super confident as it is, but
they're playing. They're being tricky. They're like trying to outthink themselves right now, and it worked in the first half. If James Madison just goes play assignment football, don't let that wonky shit happen. 1 pick 6 away from this game being within striking distance, and James Madison having a whole different tone. I mean, by the time we're done with this podcast, James Madison could easily be back within striking distance. Am I right?
That's the hard part, though. It seems like every time these two teams line up, post 2016, 2017 in Frisco, JMU has the best secondary that I've ever seen. They put 3 guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
How does NDSU win that game? Broken assignment, 50-yard touchdown pass. Yeah, the 2019 championship game. How does NDSU win that game? Fake field goal. There's just always something slippery coming out of Fargo. Seems like Ince has something up his sleeve. He's got JMU's number so far. So, a full game in Frisco of evidence of that in the first half tonight. Looks like Matt Ince has JMU's number. Can they change that in the second half? I'm hoping so. The fan in me hopes so.
Yeah.
But every second that ticks off, like I said.
Yeah. Well, we got you. I don't know how long we got you. But now you're a Big Sky guy. You're living in Big Sky country. We do have a Big Sky team playing for a chance to go to Frisco. Possibly be the first team to win a title for the Big Sky since 2010, when your Eastern Washington Eagles did it, and newly adopted Brandon Owens' Eastern Washington Eagles. Montana State, South Dakota State, Missouri Valley could possibly be both teams. What are we looking at tomorrow with the Bobcats versus the Jackrabbits for you guys?
Touchdown, Tommy.
Yeah, you think Tommy Malott? That's the difference. I'm not a Malott believer yet. I think he's benefited from not having a lot of film.
I will go ahead and call him the difference one way or another. If he plays like he did against Sam Houston, I like the Bobcats' chances. If he plays like a freshman, was this his third start?
Yeah.
He's playing out of his mind so far. You always kind of expect, though, that somewhere along the line, freshman's going to have learning experience. Hopefully that doesn't come tomorrow for his sake. But I think one way or another, he will be the difference, depending on if he plays up. I like Bobcats' chances. If he plays down, I like the Jackrabbits.
Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Rabbits versus the Cats tomorrow?
The same way, but I can extend all of what Lawrence just said to the entire offense. If the offense is completely on their A game like they were against Sam Houston, there is no way in heck I believe the Jackrabbits will stand a chance.
Really? See, this is the kind of I'm not saying they don't stand a chance. I will say it's funny how quick the tides turned for the Bobcats, right? Like the Bobcats were, I think Lawrence, you might have been the one who pointed this out to me too. Had they not lost to Montana, they would have had a legitimate argument for being the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They would have had one very close loss to an FBS team and had beaten every FCS team. They would have been undefeated in the FCS with multiple, top 15 wins. One of which was on the road. 2 actually would have been on the road because they would have beat Montana. So they would have had every right for that 1 seed. Now, the Montana game was not close, and maybe that's what killed them there. But, I feel like people wrote off the Bobcats almost too quickly. And now we're seeing it that they were indeed a legit team. They probably didn't deserve to fall to the 8th seed. But then you can say the same thing for South Dakota State, although they got tripped up more along the way. But it feels like you had two teams that almost got disrespected in the playoff seeding playing for that spot into Frisco. And then you, right now, obviously have the two purebred, they've been there, done that teams fighting. So I kind of like that we're going to get a Frisco matchup between either South Dakota State and Montana State versus what looks like North Dakota State at the moment. So I was curious because I feel like maybe before last week against Sam Houston State, most people would have said, and I'd be curious what Matt Frazee has from the bracketology of South Dakota State probably had a real good chance to beat Montana State in most people's eyes. But Brandon, it sounds like you have, from seeing the Sam Houston game, kind of flipped that. And you're like, okay, no, I think we forgot. Montana State was one game away from possibly being the 1 seed.
Right. Yeah, that's my whole process. I had Sam Houston beating Montana State, obviously, because I thought nobody could beat Sam Houston at Bowers. I will gladly eat crow for that one. But other than, my semifinal matchup was Sam Houston and South Dakota State. And I will say that one was really hard to pick because South Dakota State obviously has been battle tested through the Valley. Sam Houston, not really in the AQ7.
Mm-hmm.
But then Sam Houston lost in the quarters, and now you have a team, like you said, if they went undefeated in the FCS and their lone loss was to a close loss to Wyoming, that could possibly be your number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Montana State, number 1, they're bigger. Number 2, they looked fantastic against Sam Houston. Sam Houston could not stop them. And number 3, seeing that game, I just don't think there's a chance for the Jackrabbits. If the Jackrabbits win, I will eat crow again. I will gladly eat crow again. And we will be seeing, most likely, the Dakota Marker in Frisco.
Yeah, and I'm in this weird spot, right? Like, we'll be open about it. Jason Eck, offensive coordinator for South Dakota State, is if you're betting man, put the money down, going to be announced head coach for the Idaho Vandals on Monday. What does that have to do with this game? How in is he right now? Because this is my question, and maybe I'm going too red yarn, dots here. I know it hasn't been announced, but for those of you that follow National Recruiting Day, Idaho signed 2 recruits, one of which is our highest rated recruit of all time, a 3-star quarterback out of Arizona, who's a number 9 prospect in all of Arizona and the second best quarterback in Arizona behind the guy who backed up Spencer Rattler. So it's like, I don't think we get those guys if the new head coach isn't talking to them, right? So, how in is Jason Eck at this moment? It's not confirmed, but from all intents and purposes, it's basically been confirmed Jason Eck will be the head coach of the Idaho Vandals. He's got a big freaking game on the road in Missoula or Bozeman. Does he even plan on going back to Brookings, or is he going to drive over to Moscow? That's where my worry is for the Jackrabbits. You're already short Gronowski. Your OC is basically 2 feet out the door. Does that hurt the Jackrabbits here? I've said all season I thought Montana State had the most talented roster in the Big Sky. I was worried about coaching. Vegan has proved to be a good coach. I really think it is the Bobcats game. I would love nothing more than the Bobcats defense to look terrible and South Dakota State to put up 55. But, and hell, I want South Dakota State to win. I was on the Big Sky or Bust train last week because I want a Big Sky team to win a title for the first time since 2010.
Right.
But, hey, I'm rooting interests have changed. I'd love to see South Dakota State look absolutely phenomenal in this, but there's some outside factors that make me extremely worried about their ability to pull this off in Bozeman tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's another issue, like you said. With that coach going to Idaho, most likely, I don't I don't think the guys will be all in on the game. I think they're going to worry too much. Hey, our coach is going to Idaho. I mean, that could go one of two ways. And to me, I think it's going to go the bad way.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those classic things, like how much of a distraction can this be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of a distraction, I guess is where I'm going with this. I'm taking the Bobcats to win. But that said, South Dakota State fans who think I absolutely hate you, I'm pulling for you guys tomorrow. I know I got NDSU on tonight because I refuse to let that title go to the Sun Belt. But I'm pulling for James Madison tonight, or sorry, NDSU tonight, but I think James Madison's going to win. And I'm pulling for South Dakota State tomorrow, but I think Montana State's going to win. So that's kind of my stance on this. Brandon, your picks going in, who's going to win the Friday night game and who's winning tomorrow, and then we're going to move on to, I think, our one fan question. So it'll be a quick show.
I have James Madison winning. I still think that they can be a really good second half team, and I'm really hoping they prove me right. As for tomorrow, I have the Bobcats in a close one. I just think the distractions and the loss of Gronowski is going to hurt the Jackrabbits, but with players like the Yankee twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have Oladokin, so
with those
played all year.
With those kinds of players, it's going to keep it close, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the Jackrabbits to win. I think my initial score was like 35-34, something like that. Bobcats.
Yeah. All right. So the game's kicking back off. I think people. Oh my God, Cole Johnson with the big run.
Please.
Right. Yeah. They're across the 50. We're the tide turners here. So we're gonna let everybody get back to the game because I already see the numbers dropping. So real quick, we just want to plug GoFundMe. Matthew Frazee has a fundraiser going. Try to raise some money. We're at like 12 or 13,000. We need it's 13 because we're less than 2,000 away. And Kyler Neal, our Eastern Washington admin, will have to get a Go Grizz tattoo somewhere on his body. So if you can't, we'll drop a link somewhere. Or it's on.
Please donate. I want to see that happen.
Yeah, right. Like I've already got it queued up. If we get a little bit away, I just penciled aside some money this week for it. But so go donate. It'd be awesome. It all goes to Central Cass, the Treehouse Foundation, which basically raise medical supply or hygiene, clothing, some food for children that might not be able to get those supplies on their own. They have an anonymous app that you can use to suggest it if you're a child. Also, teachers have special training to be able to identify said children. You guys got to remember, like, I get that, like, yeah, we picked, like, I live in Idaho, Brandon lives in Alabama. It doesn't affect our communities. It's the middle of North Dakota. But, man, it's for a good cause. It's for the children. Mm-hmm. They wanted $500. You got to view it this way. Like, maybe next year this becomes a thing and we open it up to more regions. Because if we can get $15,000 for this, man, that supports that charity for so long. Or at least, I know they can always use more money. But it at least opens up the door for so many more possibilities for them to be able to help children. So, like, just do it. I get that if you're in a community like ours where we're not in North Dakota, especially Castleton area, like, you're kind of like, all right, well, why would I want to put my money into, like, a school near me? You know, we're FCS. Support the FCS. If this is already become big enough, Matt, we've been talking, like, make this an annual thing and maybe we pick a different area of the country every single year, something like that. So just do it because the bigger it gets and the more coverage it gets, obviously, it's going to help whoever is up next. Or at the end of the day, you're helping kids, so just do it. Last little thing, Brandon, then we're getting out of here. We're watching the end of this game. This came from D1. I should have his name memorized because he tweets on everything, but he's basically a Manchester City fan who's a Montana fan who comments on our stuff all the time. So I apologize, man, that I don't have my Twitter pulled up. He wanted to know worst 5 stadiums. Instead of like giving a top 5, let's just bounce off some of the worst stadiums we can think of in the FCS. And if your school's not called, well, then lucky you. Like, you're not you have an okay stadium. I'll start it off.
Can we nominate conferences?
You sure can if you want, but be careful because if there's that one good conference school that's got because the Ivies are hard. Half of them suck, but then hey, you got Yale and Harvard. But
Yeah.
hey, I'll start it off, and I see people in the comment section already going on what the obvious answer here, but you stole my book note. I'm going with Duquesne. Duquesne, I get the setting is beautiful. I'll give them that. You're right there on whatever one of those rivers is in Pittsburgh. But, man, that stadium can't hold more than 1,000 people. It is 4 rows of bleachers, and that's it. And I'll say, sure, the scenery is beautiful, but you're not even elevated enough to enjoy the beautiful scenery. So I will say Duquesne is one of my least favorite stadiums in the FCS. What about you, Brandon?
So I was going to do NEC, but you kind of hit one of them, which everybody will know. NEC stadiums are not that good. I'm going to get so much flack for this. Kennesaw State. It is a beautiful stadium. It is a beautiful stadium with a great atmosphere, but it holds less than 9,000 people.
Look, and I'm sure Jabril Jones is watching, one of our great listeners. He's going to probably comment in here because he's a big Kennesaw State fan. That's one of my big reasons for not having them as one of my immediate expansion to go to this Conference USA with you guys, be a CUSA member. Is I'm like, your stadium just isn't there. And in my opinion, that's 3 teams in the metro area of Atlanta. That's just a lot. And you're not including that the biggest school is not in that in Georgia. So it's between Georgia State, Georgia Tech, and then Kennesaw, I just don't think the money's going to be able to be raised. I get they have a large athletic budget. But I would agree. I think their stadium is beautiful, not beautiful, but I would not put it in this category, but I can see your point. I'll stick it to one of my rivals, though, if you're sticking it to one of yours. Idaho State. Idaho State's dome is absolutely the ugliest freaking thing ever. I get that it's the predecessor to the Kibbe Dome, and I should appreciate that we were able to see what they did, and because of that, we were able to make our dome light, airy, beautiful for a dome. I actually hate domes, so there's a side note for people. But you look at Idaho State's their seats are all different colors. None of them are black and orange. They're yellow, green, purple, and you're where? Why? And then their big trusses in their stadium, they didn't even paint them white or black or a neutral freaking color. They're bright blue. Their stadium makes 0 sense. It is ugly, ugly, ugly. And even the pictures of the renovation I have seen don't fix the majority of the problems other than the seats, which did need to be fixed. So I will say Idaho State is my personal second least favorite stadium in the entire FCS.
Okay, I'm going to stick Big Sky. Is it Portland State that plays at a high school?
Yeah, Hillsborough High. All right, so this is a little deceiving fact. It's not actually a high school stadium. It is used for high school sports. It's actually a part of the single A short season affiliate, the Hillsborough Hops. They have the baseball stadium on the other side, and then there's one random bleacher over some turf that's used for soccer and football. But yes, they play in basically an athletic sports complex that is also used for local high schools. That said, before these rules have come around to where it's easier for most schools to serve beer, they were the only one that did. So I've always given them the benefit of the doubt is I was it's actually a very fun place to go watch a game. But I agree, I would never want to be a recruit and go play there. The second half, there's no bleachers on the other side. There's one set of bleachers that are nice and covered and have beer and amenities and everything. And then behind you is a turf shot put pit. So it's at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to play there, but as a fan, it's actually not that bad of an experience. Next up, I will also keep it in the Big Sky, Northern Colorado.
Oh God,
not a nice stadium. They added turf this year, which I actually think is worse. I actually liked the fact that they were grass. At least then I could give them the benefit of being a grass kind of traditional school. They've got a retaining pond at the end, and it just looks mid 2000s. I don't even know when it was built. If I had to guess, just based off the architecture, how plain and just like generic it is, I'll go 2006. I bet you that thing was built in 2006, or at least its last facelift was 2006. Who do you got? And then we're probably running on our last two here.
So this is actually a bigger stadium, but because it has one side of bleachers on the home side, Murray State State's stadium, number one, they don't fill up that 16,000 seat stadium like they used to. Number two, the away side is literally, you can see the entire parking lot and the highway that's behind that parking lot. There are no stands on the away side.
Well, I'm just going to lean right off of you for my second to last one. The Indiana State Sycamores used to have a bleacher, ripped it out. I get trying to make your stuff look nice. They have a decent concrete bleacher that covers basically about 5 yards past each end zone. And they used to have kind of like what Montana State currently has, or James Madison currently has, a kind of raggedy old bleacher that maybe ran from about the 10 to the 10. They've ripped it out completely and haven't put anything in its place. And they didn't even rip it out recently. They ripped it out like 4 seasons ago, I believe. And so same thing. They don't have the highway behind them. They have campus behind them. But it's just one big concrete bleacher with a press box, no premium seating, and then nothing. A grass freaking field that I don't think you're even allowed to like berm in. Like I know like Troy, for like, you know, some put it in your perspective. Troy has that grass end zone where they let like the Greek students sit and do like have all their little letters and crap. Indiana State, nah, you're not even allowed on that side. The away team probably stands over there and are just vacant. So I will throw any school that only has one bleacher is going to make this list, and Indiana State is one of them.
Okay, so for my next to last one, I am going SEMO. One of their end zones, they have enough room for trucks to literally back up to the end zone. And you can sit on your trailer, in your truck bed, and watch the game. And there's tailgating tents right there as well. Like one of their end zones is a full view of the parking lot.
That's just wild to me, you know? Like
not to mention, I think they fixed this issue, but at one point their away stands were condemned to where they had to fix them. I don't know if they recently fixed it or if it's been a few years.
Yeah. All right, my last one. This one might be controversial, so I'm glad I got to save this one for last. The Unidome. I said I don't like domes. The Unidome is basically, it's not as worse as Idaho State, but the same kind of stuff goes. They have red, blue, and yellow bleachers. Yellow is their only freaking school color, and maybe the blue is just faded purple. But god dang it, how much is a can of paint? Go freaking paint those things every year because they're starting to look freaking blue to the point where I'm convinced they're blue. Maybe they are purple, and we'll have the one Uni fan go like, no, they're purple. But like that, and then the big concrete end zone, like at the end, it's not like, and like I said, I'm not saying the Kibbie Dome's perfect. I hate freaking domes, but like how it's broken up and it has some light and windows and light comes in. They have the light on the roof, which is cool, but like their end zones are just like a solid cement wall. And I can't do it. I don't like it. It feels like you're playing in the old Astrodome, but like, you know, smaller and with colorful seats. So maybe controversial, but I'll put the Unidome as my best of the worst stadiums. I basically went in reverse order. So for me, that was what? Duquesne, Idaho State, Northern Colorado, Indiana State, and UNI. UNI is the best of the worst stadiums for me. Who's your best of the worst?
Okay, so this question will determine what my last one is. Does it have to be current stadiums or can it be former stadiums of teams?
Just give me both, because I want to know who you think was, but then I also would like to know who currently still sucks.
ETSU's mini dome.
I see. I don't
Have
know
you
what that
seen
looks like.
pictures of it?
No.
It is so small, so freaking small. Why in the world? Like, it doesn't even have seats in the end zones like you would imagine a typical dome to have. It has literally just block seating on either side.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You weren't kidding. This is atrocious. Oh my gosh.
And they still have it on campus.
Yeah. There it is for everybody. This little ugly, whatever the heck this thing is. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Ugh, dude. That is literally like worse Holt Arena. Like it's got like a even slopier ceiling.
Yeah. So my actual one, and this is not a knock to this school because the school is absolutely beautiful. I participated in Alabama All-State for 4 years, or Alabama All-State Choir for 4 years, and it was held at this university. But that football stadium is too small. It has stands stretching from either 40 to 40 or 35 to 35. And it's Samford University.
Oh, really?
Man,
I see.
It
I would have
is
thought
so small.
But isn't it kind of nice? I always thought Samford had a decent. Like I knew it was small. A lot of SoCon small, but I thought it was nice.
It's a nice facility, but for like when I think of a football stadium, I don't think of stands stretching from like 40 to 40 or 35 to 35. I see stands stretching the entire field.
And I see what you're saying too. They also have like a track that they have like refused to remove. They put grass behind it, but like they still have the track. Oh, that's wild. Yeah. I should have been sharing the screen the whole time. That's on me for live producing, but that's why Matthew Frazee is important to be a part of those. But as you guys probably guessed, I think he's doing something tonight. I'm not sure what, but something.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that thing is interesting. Like how it has the track right here. Yeah. And like even that press box looks like when for people that use Photoshop, like when you're doing proper like cropping and stuff, and you don't actually keep the aspect ratio and you accidentally make things like too non-proportional. That's what Samford's press box looks like. Wow, I never knew that. You know what? I'm thinking of Wofford is why.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Samford's. I've seen Wofford Stadium. And that's where I was like, I thought Wofford had a decent, like not nice, but like decent. But yeah, you're right. I'm confusing Wofford with Stanford. Like this is like, why is there still a half track? And what are all these people doing on this hill that can't even see this? It's like Eastern, but like worse.
I don't understand. So yeah, those are my 6: ETSU, Mini Dome, Samford, Murray State, Kennesaw State, Portland State, and what was my other one? Kennesaw. I don't remember.
You said
I already said Kennesaw. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look.
That's all right. That's what listening is for. But anyways, Brandon, we will have Frisco set. You and I are both going. It's our last plug. Make sure you donate to the Castleton Treehouse. Please. Thank you. I want to see Kyler get a tattoo. We're less than $2,000 away. Bids close at noon Central Time, I believe, on Sunday. So you have a little bit of time. But Brandon, real quick, last year was your first year in Frisco? Yes. Tell the people what your first year in Frisco was like. And you went during possibly the worst year of Frisco because it was freaking COVID and in May. But, like, why should the people be like you and just make the jump and buy a ticket to Frisco?
Bruh, it is such a fun time. Not only are you meeting us, the admins, and other FCS Fans Nation Network people, you are meeting fans from other teams that have not just the 2 teams involved, but other teams that decided to make the trip. The world famous Wofford man. Yeah, you form amazing connections, form amazing friendships. For me, my biggest thing was I was so excited to finally meet the guys that I have interacted with only over social media. Yeah, I think we had a freaking blast.
Exactly. And I think Matt Frazee nailed it in the video last year where he said, FCS Fans Nation fans and admins spend hours a day, almost every day, interacting through screens. Frisco is the one time we all get a chance to meet. Yeah, occasionally North Dakota State will play James Madison, or James Madison will play Weber. Like this year, I got to meet some JMU fans when they came to Utah, or Eastern came down to Jacksonville State a couple years ago. Occasionally,
still didn't get to see Kyler or Kelsey.
Right?
Still mad about that.
Exactly, because every once in a while, your team comes, and it doesn't even guarantee you're going to meet the people you're interacting with. Frisco is that opportunity. Kyler will always be there. Kelsey, probably not. She is Eastern diehard, and more. She would support Eastern at whatever level of football they are at. It's more Eastern to her than FCS, but she also does love everybody but Montana. Well, also hates everybody. She hates everybody via love. Does that make sense to anybody? Anyways, So that's where I would push. Like, Brandon made the jump last year and said, what, I've talked about it. I'm going to do it. I did it the first year we were in the FCS. I wasn't even a part of the FCS Fans Nation. I had those guys, Kyler, Lawrence, and Matt on once to just talk about when Idaho moved down. I went to the game. Loved it. Have gone every single year since. So, this is going to be my 4th or 5th year in Frisco. And Idaho, I've basically been there one more year than Idaho has been there. So whatever that math breaks out to. So just do it. It probably won't be this year. I get that. But next year, tickets go on sale literally I think 3 weeks before the season kicks off. Just buy them. They're cheap if you buy them before the game, before the matchups, before these games are over and these fans know they need to buy tickets and hotels. And you get Airbnbs and everything, and it works out. But anyways, that's our plug. Donate to Matt Wears Purple. And we'll see you guys, I guess. No, it won't be next Friday. It will be a couple Fridays away. This is probably it for the Friday night Frisco. We might do a show from Frisco. That might be the Friday night FCS.
That's
Frisco
what I've
pregame.
been thinking we were going to be doing.
But then the game day show is also
year.
kind of popular and cool. We'll probably stick to game day. So probably this show will just move to Saturday pregame. And somebody unnamed maybe on this show who has a media credential, NCAA, I have your Wi-Fi password. So maybe from a parking lot. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Like we said, there are tons of shows on the FCS Fans Nation Network. So check them all out. But we appreciate you bookending your week with us. And, man, it's hard to believe in less than 24 hours we know who will be in Frisco.
I know.
And four great fan bases to possibly be joining us. Let's be honest. Other than, who else out of these fan bases? There's going to be so much energy. I cannot wait. That's how I'll leave it.
I was about to say, choose your words wisely because JSU brought a ton of fans.
Oh, I mean,
the year we went.
Montana's not there. Sam Houston would have traveled well. I get there are other teams that would have done it, but these four, I'm saying there's no team that won't be traveling well. We're guaranteed.
Okay,
we're guaranteed basically to sell out in Frisco this year. Any of these four fan bases will bring the house, bring the heat, and have awesome fans, and we can't wait to see you guys there. So I guess that's it. We'll see you guys there. Boom.
Okay, so quick question.